All right, let me talk to you real quick about Rexius Nutrition in Ralston. Rexius carries an awesome line of pre-workout from brands like Alpha Lion, Bucked Up, 5150, Insane Labs, and several other brands. They also have a great selection of protein powder, including my personal favorite, the All Max Hexapro cookies and cream flavored. Can't go wrong with that. They also carry the very popular brand Accent Sledge protein powders, branched chain amino acids, which are crucial to stay hydrated, and pre-workout. They also carry locally owned brands like VHI Fit, carry their protein powders in several different flavors. They also have pre-workout, branched chain amino acids, vegan protein powder as well. And if you have a sweet tooth like me, you gotta try this Omaha protein popcorn. The owners Jamie and Brent Stryker are absolute studs and are very knowledgeable with a background in bodybuilding. Jamie even reached pro status as an IFBB pro women's physique competitor. Stop by Rexius Nutrition in Ralston on the corner of 84th and Q and receive 10% off when you tell them you're there on an official visit.
All right, and we're back with another episode of the official visit. I'm your host, Oscar Galindo, and I'm super excited for today's episode. It's one of the more exciting parts of the year. Definitely one of the most exciting parts of the season. It's crazy to say we're already at semifinal Friday, but hey, we're here. I'm excited for these tons of great matchups that we have lined up for this weekend's slate of games. Just a ton of gritty teams. Some of the top teams in each class just battling out for those two spots at Memorial Stadium, and I'm excited for, like I said, an excellent week of an excellent Friday of football. All over the state. It's going to be a ton of great matchups. So, what I wanted to do was I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about each game. The past few weeks in the playoffs, I've been putting out my picks. So this week I want to do a little bit more explanation behind those picks. And then I'll have a few articles coming out here on Prep Red Zone tomorrow, where I'll have a little bit of a tell of the tape, along with some players to watch out for in each of those matchups. So definitely keep an eye out on that. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Rexius Nutrition in Ralston. They're amazing. I've had a great time working with them. Bringing us the all dialed in team of the week every week. Definitely make sure you're getting out there. Rexius Nutrition in Ralston, 84th and Q. Get all your supplements. Your protein, your pre workout, your branched chain amino acids, all those kind of things. Make sure you're getting healthy, and if you're getting ready, those players that are getting ready for the next season, and the off season, trying to bulk up, all that kind of stuff, get their body right. It's the best spot to go to. Very knowledgeable staff. So if you mention the official visit, you do get 10% off your purchase. So definitely, like I said, worth checking out, worth going out there. I want to give a special thanks to them. Prep Red Zone, like I said, we'll have more content coming out, playoff content coming out on the site as well. So, without further ado, we'll jump right into the Class A matchups. The first one right off the bat, we're going with number 1 seed, top seed in Class A, West Side. They're hosting number 5 Millard West. West Side is the current Class A champion. Coming off that win over Gretna last season, that instant classic game. So far in this playoffs, they've beaten Creighton Prep by a score of 54-6, and they're fresh off that unbelievable shutout victory over Bellevue West, the 49-0 win. Millard West, going for their first championship since 2008. Definitely want to. It's been 15 years. I'm sure they're ready to get another banner up there, get another trophy in that trophy case. They're coming off fresh wins over Millard North, 49-14, and then they beat Grand Island, who traveled all the way out here. They beat them 31-7. So, this is gonna be. I know a lot of people around the state have already kind of made Class A a foregone conclusion that West Side's gonna take it, just with how well they've been dominating every team they've played. Uh, I believe it's been like just off the past two games, they've only given up 2 points to their 103. So they could put up points, and they have an excellent defense. Offense obviously led by Anthony Rizek, top dual threat QB in the state. So yeah, it's gonna be the trenches is where I believe is gonna be the biggest uh, deciding factor, is who's able to really dominate in those trenches. Um, and then yeah, of course, from there it's how does one team stop the opposing team's main weapon? West Side's main weapon there kind of being just their multifaceted running attack with Rizak and Jamez, and Brody Gok has kind of come in the past couple, I believe, week or two, and he's had some nice gains, nice runs. Um, and then for West Side, their biggest challenge is going to be trying to keep Jackson Williams at bay there. He's a player that can pop off really at any time. He could take a short pass and just run it, to the house. He could take a punt that's doesn't necessarily look returnable. He could field it and still make a 20-30 yard gain out of it. So really trying to limit his explosiveness, limit his impact on the game. That's gonna be that's gonna be a huge thing for Westside to deal with there. Yeah, very very good, very tough matchup. It's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna come down to the trenches and who can win that battle there. With that being said, I think I'm gonna Northwest. Yeah, they're a tough team, very tough team. Um, but yeah, I think I'll go with Omaha West Side on this one. I think just their depth, and it's hard to really find even a weakness in their any kind of unit on their team. Their secondary strong, linebackers strong, D line strong, O line's good, playmate or wide receivers, pass catchers, whatever. They have depth there, running back, quarterback. Obviously, they're good there. So yeah, I think eventually that West Side depth is going to be able to take over there. So yeah, I'm going with West Side on the first matchup. All right. Second game in Class A, we got number 2 Millard South versus number 3 Elkhorn South. This is a rematch of, I believe, week 2 or week 3. Uh, where Millard South, this is, if I remember correctly, this is kind of the game where we kind of saw, okay, Millard South is for real, and they're hungry and they're pissed. So that was kind of the game where they shut them out 33-0. Elkhorn South does have a few more players back this go around. Brady Busquet, a running back, is going to be a key player to watch this time around. Um, Millard South also, they had Nolan Feller there the first time. He did get injured. I'm not exactly sure at what point after that, but now he's back and he's running the ball very well for Millard South. So expect both teams to really kind of be able to run that ball very well. Um, Passing wise, I'll give the edge, to Millard South. They have, the sophomore sensation, phenom, whatever you want to call it, Jet Tomala, and his running mate, Marion Jackson, who've just been running rampant all season long. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of the biggest thing, to try to limit that connection as much as possible. Keep everything kind of in front of them, making sure Marion doesn't break off for a long touchdown. Um, this is going to be a game that I feel like should be a lot closer than the first time around. Um, Millard South, they have yet to give up a point in this postseason, shutting out Lincoln North Star 38-0. And they just had, coming off that just breakdown of Omaha North, 45-0. So, they've been very impressive. Their defense has been kind of flexing their muscle a little bit. Um, Elkhorn South, beat pretty solid playoff resume as well. Beat Papio La Vista South 42-8. Beat Lincoln East 24-19. Both of them are sitting at two state championships. North South kind of been waiting since '09, and then Elkhorn South since 2016. So both of them kind of been waiting a little bit for the next championship for number three. So hopefully, hopefully it's a lot closer game than the first time around. Like I said, that 33-0 North South win. I think it should. Madden Riggs, I feel like has been getting a lot more comfortable back there in the pocket. Handling the offense very well. Like I said, Brady Busquet, having Gavin Shanahan and Jaden Sicko in the backfield is that's a tough trio to really play against. So um, yeah, another tough matchup that I think is going to come down to um, just defense. Which defense is able to hold the others' strength to a minimum. They can limit Elkhorn South's run. Miller South can limit their run game. That should be huge. If Elkhorn South can kind of limit that connection, that Tamala to Jackson connection, that's kind of been their big chain mover. So if they could limit that, kind of phase them out of the game a little bit or as much as possible, I think that will be huge for them. Um, if I'm putting my pick in, I'm going Millard South. I'm Millard South on this one. All right, now we're on to Class B. First one we got is number one Bennington versus number five Elkhorn North rematch of I believe week 7 or week 8, one of those. Bennington won that first matchup 14-7. As you can tell, it's gritty, physical defensive battle. Both teams are very tough, very talented teams. Both of them, plenty of players that should go on to play at the next level. Elkhorn North's got Sam Thomas committed to Northern Illinois. Tommy Mechna, who has received D1 attention, and then Chase Lofton, the big 4-star tight end who's received kind of just starting to really grow as a national recruit. So very talented group there. Bennington, Gunnar Lim, North Dakota commit, 2-time state champion wrestler Kyler Lordson. Your quarterback stepped up big time, Peyton Sandman. That was kind of one of the big questions going into the season after the past 2 years. Trey Bird was back there leading them. So, it was kind of a question how he would handle that. And he's done fine. Uh, he's got 2 receivers that I really like, Elliot Anderson and KJ Tafu, have kind of really been productive and reliable for him. So playmakers there. Quentin Archer, he's going to be a huge factor in this game. He was a big factor in the first go around. So I'm sure Elkhorn North is going to be playing around, trying to stop him and slow him down in the run. So they're coming off of a very slim victory over Norris. Etched that one out 23-20. They beat Crete in the first round 65-7, so they beat them comfortably. We'll kind of see how they come out. Like I said, that first meeting was 14-7, so it's hard to tell, if either team will have each other kind of figured out a little bit more, or if we're just going to see another defensive battle. Elkhorn North took out, Elkhorn North took out their Elkhorn rival, the Antlers, 31-21. And then they also had a very impressive, very dominant showing against a tough Scotts Bluff team. Beat them 35-16. So both teams are averaging well over 30 points a game, and both teams are allowing less than 10 points a game. So, something's got to give. Someone's defense or someone's offense is gonna blow up. Um, a tough one. It's tough to beat a team twice in a year. But I feel like Bennington. I feel like this might they might pull this one out. They'll probably pull this one out again, and be headed back to Memorial for the third straight year. So yeah, Bennington is my pick. So now for our second Class B matchup, we have number 2 Waverly, hosting number 3 Scott Catholic. This is one of those teams. This is one of those games that I usually refer to as the Grit Bowl. Is going to be just a tough, physical, hard nosed game between two teams that could just force the ball, run the ball down your throat, and then they'll just turn right back around and just beat you up on defense. Ton of great players for both teams on both sides of the ball. Waverly's coming into the game 11-0. Scott Catholic is coming in 10-1. Only loss coming from week one loss to Bennington. I won that. It's a little controversial at the time, so Scott Catholic, they bounced back nicely from that, and we're able to win out so far. Waverly so far this postseason, they blanked out Ralston 42-0. They're coming off a dominant win over a tough Hastings team that made a nice run, beat them 45-21. Scott Catholic beat Gross 42-14, and then edged out Blair just barely 30-28 last week on a last minute field goal there. I think I don't have a ton of statistics for Scott Catholic, so I don't really know like how much they're passing. I know they're great at running the ball. Got Colin Pike back there, Anthony Heithoff, one of the top duos in Class B. But as far as passing game, I guess I haven't really seen what they've got going on in terms of through the air attack. Waverly, I do know, like I said, they have a very good run game. They themselves have a very great backfield. Aiden Smith, Evan Castens, and then Nathan Axman, sophomore, is kind of started to rise in this season. So I know they have a great backfield, and then they also have a quarterback that was comfortable throwing it. Coaches are comfortable letting them make plays and stuff like that. Nolan Mace. So could that kind of be the difference maker here? It could be, but like I said, I don't want to confirm. I don't want to just say that will kind of be what makes one team when I don't have a ton of numbers for Scott Catholic, and I just haven't seen a ton of the tape in terms of passing. So, I will go probably with Waverly on this one. It's a toss-up matchup for me. One of those 50-50 matchups that I just can't really, I'm not really going to know until I know who wins. But if I had to go with a team, I would say Waverly, just because of how they've looked all season. It seems like every time I've kind of thought, oh, they gotta, a prove it game this week. They've really done so. Most notable one was when they battled York, or when they went to go play York. I was expecting that one to be kind of a hard-nosed, tough game, and Waverly just handled business. I believe they beat them 28-0, so they've kind of been able to step up and take on those tough challenges head on and handle them very well. So I'll kind of stick with Waverly on that one. But like I said, this is a matchup. This is a game that I'm not gonna know. I don't really know until I know. So, all right, Class C1. We got number 1 Wahoo versus number 4 Sydney, traveling all the way out from the Panhandle. Sydney's coming off that win over reigning Class C1 state champ Pierce. So they're the ones that kind of knocked off. But yeah, Wahoo, starting off with them, just have been dominant all season long. Seems like they can kind of win. They can win no matter how, like in any form. They could win ugly. They could win with defense. They could win with, offense. They could win. I'm pretty sure they had like some really great special teams plays. This season that led to like points and basically kind of helped them win some games here and there. Their defense has just been lights out, only giving up an average of 5.3 points a game, while they're able to put up nearly 40. So, Sydney, they do have a little bit of a more explosive offense. They do put up a little bit more yards per game, averaging 278 rushing yards and 136 passing yards, compared to 93 pass by Wahoo and 197 rush yards by Wahoo, so kind of outgained them there by like about 120-ish yards. So that'll be interesting to see. I know they have a duo of Isaac Doty and Luke Holly. Both of them are 1,000-yard rushers and just very tough runners, bigger bodied guys. Or at least I know Luke is kind of a tougher, bigger dude, tough to tackle. So it'll be interesting to see how Wahoo handles that run game, that dual, kind of run attack. Uh, but yeah, Wahoo, they like I said, they have a ton of players at their disposal that can make plays at any given moment on defense as well. Jace Kaminsky, who's only a sophomore, got handed the reins for the offense and has handled it very well. He's got them he's led them to number one seed in Class C1 and at an 11-0 record, and he's been able to lead the offense very well. So trying to see here, I think for this one, again, I'm gonna go with Wahoo. I think they're just the amount of talent they have on their team. Not saying Sydney's not talented because they do have a ton of great players and a ton of sleeper players that I believe should be getting a lot more recognition. But yeah, Wahoo just I feel like in the trenches they're probably a little bit tougher and uh, just have a few more playmakers at their disposal. So that'll come in handy for them. So going Wahoo, I believe they'll win that one. So the second matchup in Class C1, man, this has been the one I've been cracking my brain on all season or all week long. Uh, Number 2 Boone Central versus number 3 Ashland Greenwood. Um, both teams that have really been fighting the past couple seasons to break past that how should I say, make it past that hump, finally make it to the state championship. It's kind of a shame that one of these teams will not be making it because they're both great squads with tons of great players, tons of great, very well coached teams. Play excellent ball, smart football, gritty, tough, reliable players, reliable teams, I guess I should say. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough matchup. It's a tough one to really kind of predict. Um, Boone Central 11-0, Ashland Greenwood 10-1. Ashland, their one loss coming to Wahoo. Uh, Boone Central, both of them pretty decently well matched up. Ashland Greenwood offense maybe a little bit more balanced. Um, but regardless, still pretty evenly matched. Both of them average uh, 40 points a game. The Boone Central is only giving up 4.5 points per game. Ashland Greenwoods is 13.5. So, still great, but, obviously there's kind of a difference there, about a touchdown difference, a two-score difference from Boone defense and the Ashland defense. Yards per game, 369 Boone, 377 Ashland, so pretty even. Here's passing yards, 92 Boone, 173 for Ashland, 277 rush yards for Boone, 204 for Ashland. But I think the biggest matchup here is the running backs. Uh, this features possibly possibly the two best running backs in Class C1. Boone Central's Parker Borer and Ashland Greenwood's Drake Zimmerman, both who have had electric seasons. Both of them will go on to play at the next level. I'm sure of it. Versatile. Parker's kind of he's very shifty, good twitch, good vision, explosive, electric or speedy. Drake, he's tough, tough runner, can mow defenders over. Both of them can catch out of the backfield, so they both kind of add that extra level of threat on offense. So both of them have good offensive lines. Um, both of them have great defenses. Uh, yeah, very tough game to predict. Very tough one to kind of, yeah, just very evenly matched. Um, in a game like this, I think I'll go just kind of with Boone Central. Uh, their defense has kind of better numbers. They have some good statement wins on their record. Giving up two touchdown or yeah, total 14 points in the postseason. Granted, Ashland Greenwood's only given up 22, but still, great defense. So yeah, I'll go with Boone Central. Make it to Memorial. So yeah, that'll be my matchup for Class C1 is Wahoo versus Boone. All right, Class C2. We have the reigning Class C2 champion Norfolk Catholic hosting Fillmore Central. No, it's kind of weird describing this because I feel like for being a reigning state champion, Norfolk Catholic has gone pretty under the radar to a certain extent. Just kind of handled business, trucked along through their schedule, took out some of the top teams in Class C2, and then just kind of handled business in the playoffs. Beat Aquinas Catholic 42-12, beat Kearney Catholic 31-15. Um, Averaging 44.5 points on offense, only giving up 10.8. Yeah, like I said, just a very under the radar team for being a state champion, a reigning state champion. Just to just on cruising to an 11-0 record. Um, Fillmore Central, another team that's kind of gone under the radar despite being an undefeated team. Uh, they've just handled business as well throughout the season. And in the offseason here, they've been playing great defense. Held a explosive Malcolm team to 20 points. And then beat Wilbur Clatonia in a defensive battle 16-6. Um, yeah, their defense is only giving up 9 points a game. Offense is scoring 32. Uh, their running game has been very, very effective. So, yeah, it's tough to kind of really know what you have in Fillmore Central. I know you have a great team with a ton of good talent, and clearly well coached with good defense. Uh, but yeah, well, like I said, Norfolk Catholic's kind of just there's just been no fall off since last year. Even with losing a great player like Carter Kirkman and Kate Piper, they've just kind of kept chugging along, and uh, from what it looks like they'll be heading back to Memorial in search of to further their state record with their 12th state championship. And yeah, that'll be my pick for Class C1. First matchup, I'm going with Norfolk Catholic over Fillmore Central. Second class C2 matchup, we got number 3 Ord versus number 10 U10. Two teams that I believe at the beginning of the season they kind of a little slow out of the gate, kind of stumbled along. Played some tough games against some of the top teams here in Class C2. But really kind of just found their stride and really starting to play good football here in the past few weeks or month. Both these teams have kind of have very impressive playoff resumes so far this season. Ord knocked off Cedar Catholic 18-13. And then they were able to ice red hot Mitchell team that just beaten Bishop Newman, so beat them pretty convincingly. 47-21. Um, Again, like I said, kind of starting to flex that defense, flex all the playmakers that they have. They have a very strong senior class, so those players really starting to rise up and kind of show us kind of the org we were expecting from the beginning. Same thing with U10. They beat Hastings St. Cecilia, a team that was undefeated for a good majority of the season. Beat them 42-6. Oakland Craig another one of the top teams in Class C or C2, beat them 28-6. A team that can really put up some points when they on any given week, really. So to hold them to 6 points is very, very impressive. And only 12 points allowed in the past two games against two very, teams that were top 10 teams all season long. Really even top 5 teams for the good majority of the season. So, yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. Um, oh, this is kind of another 50-50 matchup for me. I don't want to bet against Ord again. I picked Mitchell to beat them last week. I don't want to bet against Ord. Uh, and they are the higher seed, but like I said, U10 has really started to click in the past few weeks. Um, that defense has been really playing lights out. So, um, I'll go with I'm gonna say Ord pulls this one out. And they head to Memorial Stadium to take on Norfolk Catholic. So, um, yeah, that'll be my pick for Class C2. Class D1, Stanton, number one. Stanton, 11-0, and facing number 5, Sandy Creek, another 11-0 team. Both teams searching for their first state championship in school history. Um, Very explosive offenses with very stifling defenses. Stanton averaging a whopping 61 points per game. Their defense allowing 19 points per game. And then Sandy Creek, no slouch either, at 56.7 points per game. And their defense allowing 17.6. So clearly both teams that can put up a ton of points when they want, almost at will. And they have defense to stifle, any offense that kind of comes against them. So um, Stanton's kind of been, teetering towards the top of the rankings all season long. They tend to have kind of a little bit more of a deeper roster. Barrett Wilkie has been kind of just a monster for them. Becker Pullman, uh, another player that's been, doing it all for them on offense and defense. Mitchell Hupp, just a great overall athlete. And then in the trenches, they can get after it with Ren Brown, uh, on O line, leading the way for that Russian attack. So, um, yeah, Sandy Creek, they have a good combo here with Ethan Shaw and Connor Rempe. Two players that really kind of emerged this season and established themselves as some of the top players in the class. So, it's not going to be easy whatsoever for Stanton, who I'm picking as the winner for this game. Sandy Creek kind of has a little bit of a more impressive resume so far in terms of the playoffs. They beat Maxwell 62-22. Weeping Water, a very tough Weeping Water, that beat them in a close, gritty battle, 22-20. They knocked off Cross County, who I kind of had slated as one of the teams that would be in Memorial. So, beat them pretty handily, 44-24. Very talented team with some of the best players, some of the top players in the class. So, yeah, Sandy Creek, they're no slouch. So it's not like it's gonna be, foregone conclusion that Stan's gonna win. It's just, I think for the moment they just have a little bit more talent. So I'll go with Stan on that one. Then for the second class D1 matchup, we got undefeated Crofton versus the 10-1 Exeter Milligan Friend. So EMF. Crofton looking for their first state championship. EMF, technically their first state championship. Exeter Milligan has two in their history from 2014. Uh, so first one as the EMF consolidation. So both of them have quite a bit to play towards. Both of them feature just some dangerous running attacks. Wyatt Tramp for Crofton, and then Brecken Schluter for EMF. watch out for this one. I think it's gonna be fireworks between these two teams. Both of them averaging 50 EMF and Crofton 55 points per game. Um, Crofton averaging 283 rush yards, EMF 325. So the two teams that can run the ball very well. Run the ball with different weapons. I think it's going to be kind of a bit of a shootout is what I'm predicting. Um, it's tough to bet against Crofton, who's kind of answered the call every step of the way. But I think this EMF team. There's just something different about them. Something about the way Breckenschluter has been running all season long. Uh, I think they end up pulling it out and take the win, knock out Crofton, and head on to Memorial to take on Stanton. So that will be my pick for Class D2 or D1. I got Stanton versus EMF. So now we're heading down to Class D2. We have two heavyweight battles, man. This is gonna be a tough class to kind of predict here. We got South Loop, undefeated South Loop versus Sandhill Stedford. Two teams, very impressive runs. Just very dominant teams can impose their will on any team. If it seems like South Loop has it's kind of been the consensus, top team in Class D2 all season long. And like I said, they showed it with their 11-0 record. They're coming off a big win over a tough Central Valley team who's been kind of running amok all over teams all season long. So, beat them and then beat a really good Lawrence Nelson team 62-12. And then as well as just a ton of great wins sprinkled throughout the resume. So, they have Trey Connell running the ball, or he's a quarterback, but he runs the ball very well. I can't even count how many 300-yard games he's probably had this season. Connor Paulson, another great athlete to have on there. Rio Raymond, he's expect him to be very disruptive, very explosive on the defensive line. Creating or wreaking havoc in the backfield and stuff like that. So, all right, and then I have Sandhill Stedford, who's also kind of really just been having a run for the ages here. Beat Overton in the first round, 74-38. Knocked off a tough Lord Central Catholic team, 52-12, and then took out the number one seed in Johnson Brock last week, 60-28. And just the only thing I have to say about Sandhill Stedford is Kyle Cox, man. He has just been out of his mind. He's been playing just high level ball all season long. I believe I saw that he's like top something in the nation, top 10, top 5, something, maybe even top leader in the nation in terms of scoring. He's averaging probably 5-6 touchdowns a game. Just a playmaker, just flat out playmaker. He can find ways to score, and he's great on both sides of the ball. So it's a tough one to really. And I know I might get some flack for this, but I think I might go with the upset here. I think I'm going with Sandhill Stedford. Just kind of continue that run. I feel like they're in a position where, how's the saying go? Like, and I say this with no offense to them, but kind of too dumb to know better. And like I said, I don't. It sounds bad, but they just are kind of the team that's kind of just playing with nothing to lose. Really, I feel like a lot of pressure is maybe on that South Loop team, who's kind of been the main, one of the top teams all season long. Sandhill Stedford, one of those have been a top 10 team all season long as well. But maybe after that loss, maybe kind of fell off in the eyes of some people, and maybe fell off some radars. And now that it's crunch time, they've really turned it up, and they're playing at a different level right now. So again, no offense with saying that. It's just like I said, they've kind of been playing a little bit loose. Watching them play the past couple weeks, been very loose with how they play. Just going out there and playing ball, not really, tempering to any expectations. Just balling out. And not saying the South Loop is. It's just when you have a little bit more, like I said, that 11-0, and you've been one of those elite teams that oh, they're gonna be one of the teams in the Memorial. I don't know. Sometimes they do. Sometimes that may be able to play a factor. South Loop does have the head to head. I forgot they did play in season, and they won 48-34. So that does make the decision harder to choose Sandhill Stedford. But if I gotta choose some upsets here at some point, and I feel like Sandhill Stedford is kind of in the position to do so. So um, yeah, might end up eating that one, but we'll go with that for right now. All right, second Class D2 matchup. I got Why Not versus Howells Dodge. Um, Why Not's coming into this undefeated 10-0. Howells Dodge 9-2, but they have probably the most impressive resume in the playoffs this season. So you kind of it's hard to tell what you really have with that team if we're going off records and seeds and whatnot. But definitely a team that's way better than what their record says, and way better than what the seed is. So just to name the teams they've knocked out in this playoff run. Um, Bloomfield, one of the more explosive offenses, beat them 34-6. Ainsworth, featuring one of the top players in the state, Carter Nelson, and just a ton of playmakers on that team, beat them 32-12. Dundee County Stratton, featuring just who was one of those teams that I considered a possible memorial contender. Beat them 36-28. Very exciting matchup there. So, right off the bat, that's three teams that, bounced, two teams that were for sure locked into the top five all season long, and then another team that kind of floated around in the top 10 as well all season long. So, um, extremely impressive resume. Very impressive wins past 3 weeks. Uh, Hunter Luther has just been playing out of his mind. Is really making a case as one of the top sophomores in 8-man football, and really just one of the top players in that league as well. Um, why not? They have Dylan Haney, Zach Foxhoven, excuse me, Carson Weissler. They can find ways to put up points. They average 41.8. And their defense is playing very well, only giving up 12.7. My bad. Um, yeah, very balanced attack compared to Howells Dodge. 350. They lead them in yards. They do have head-to-head win as well. They did beat Howells Dodge earlier this season. Um, but yeah, they can kind of mix in the pass and the run a little bit better than Howells Dodge, averaging 204 passing yards and 145 rushing yards compared to 37 pass and 294 on the ground for Howells Dodge. So that is something that could be a big factor here. Um, it's tough to really, like I said, to really kind of gauge Howells Dodge with how well they've been playing this past season, and it seems like they're just one of those teams that always just turns up when they need to. They can come playoff time, they play at a different level. They have they're well coached. They have good history, good culture. Um, so it's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be a tough game for both of these teams. I believe it's gonna end up. I think it'll be a shootout. I think we're gonna see a ton of points by both offenses. And I think we'll see an upset. I think I'm gonna call it upset. I'll go Howells Dodge. Set them up to go back to Memorial and battle Sandhill Stedford for the Class D2 championship, and we'll be looking for a new state champion in this class. So, yeah, that's my prediction of Class D2. Class D6, six-man football. First matchup, we got Sumner Eddyville Miller versus Wilcox Hildreth. Uh, Two great teams, kind of been battling it out for some as one of the top teams in D6 throughout the season. SEM sitting at 10-0. Wilcox Hildreth at 9-1. Both teams pretty fairly evenly matched in terms of points per game and yards and stuff like that. Sumner averaging 48 points, giving up 11.9, averaging 346 yards per game. Wilcox Hildreth 44.5 points. Defense is giving up 18.4 and then 342 yards per game. It's pretty similar there. And then both very balanced attacks. Passing yards per game, SEM 121, Wilcox 119. Rushing yards, SEM 224, Wilcox 222. So, like I said, very balanced matchup, very even matchup in terms of from the statistical standpoint. Both have had pretty solid runs here in the playoffs. SEM beat Paxton 52-0, Stewart 28-7, and then Wilcox Hildreth, won 39-21, and beat Pawnee City 33-14. It's tough. SEM did win the head-to-head 28-22. It was a pretty closely contested matchup, so Wilcox, their only loss is to SEM. This game I kept going back and forth, but I think we'll see. I think SEM will continue their run as a top team in Class D6 as they have all season long. It's tough to beat a team twice in a season, but I think they'll be able to do it. Beat Wilcox Hildreth again. So that's my pick for the first one. Second one, we got the reigning state champion Parkview Christian versus Hay Springs. Parkview Christian. Both these teams kind of had a little bit more. 8-2 Parkview Christian and 7-3 Hay Springs. So both teams kind of had a little bit more challenges throughout the season. On their way here, but have both kind of been turning up as of recently. Parkview Christian has just been on fire. They beat two of the more explosive offenses in D6. Cody Kilgore 40-8, and then shut out Potter Dix 51-0. So just off those two wins, it's kind of hard to bet against them really. With how well they've been playing. They got Anthony Page, Tobias Folks. Both those players can just kind of run it at will. Hay Springs, so far they've beaten Hampton 66-26 and Arthur County 58-49. So they had to maybe work a little harder for their wins, but nonetheless they've come out on top. And they are playing good ball right now. One player that I would say to keep a close eye on for Hay Springs is Gage Mintkin. Very explosive, very dynamic player. He's going to be someone that, he's going to give Parkview Christian some fits if they're not able to contain him right off the bat. So, out of those teams, I will probably pick Parkview Christian to continue on their title defense, and they will play SEM in Kearney. So, those are my picks for the state championship. I'll go back and review them. For Class A, I got Omaha Westside defending their state championship in the rematch against Millard South. In Class B, I have Bennington going for the three-peat against Waverly. Class C1, I got Wahoo versus Boone Central. We'll be finding a new state champion in that class. Class C2, we'll go Norfolk Catholic taking on Ord. Norfolk Catholic as well defending their state championship. Class D1, I'm choosing Stanton to take on. I'm taking Stanton to take on EMF. Um, that will be a class where we'll be finding a new champion at. And then for Class D2, I'm choosing two upsets. I'm choosing Sandhill Stedford versus Howells Dodge in the state championship. In D6 in Kearney, we're gonna go Parkview Christian continuing their title defense against SEM, who will be looking to break over that hump and claim the championship. So those are my picks for this week's games. Not perfect. I'm sure I'm going to be wrong here and there. At this point, you're just really picking against elite teams, so it's really hard to pick who you think you're going to win. Like I said, when it's good on good, elite on elite. So all I'm hoping for is no injuries and just some great matchups all Friday long. So still deciding which game I'm gonna go to, but make sure you follow me on Twitter at PRZ Oscar G for more content, and stay updated for whichever game I go to. Uh, Follow us on Prep, or stay tuned on Prep Red Zone as well. If you are a new subscriber, make sure you use the code Oscar Galindo 30. Yeah, Oscar Galindo 30 in the coupon code areas. Get a discount on your subscription. And yeah, we'll have a little bit more information from these matchups. I got little tables and stuff I made. And then I'll be highlighting players from every team that I believe will be playmakers in their respective games. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Try to keep this as short as possible, and it still ended up being pretty long. So I apologize for that. We'll have some more interviews coming up with players, coverage of the state championship games and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and then definitely let me know who you think I got wrong in terms of predictions, who you think is gonna win. We're gonna have a little bit of contest coming up here with Rexius, where you choose state champions, and then win a little bit of a nice little prize pack from them. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have that out soon. And again, check out Rexius Nutrition in Ralston, offering 10% off your purchase if you tell them that you are there for an official visit. So, that is all I got. I appreciate you guys, and yeah, thank you.